Hello, welcome back to Fire Horizons Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain Rizia. So, last time out, we had an interesting discussion with Manu Sazon from the opposition at the, was it the Songbird Festival thing? Then we met with Rusty Montoro from the Rizian Royal Gold Corporation. And then we had a very interesting discussion with Lucita down at the fortress in Monteclar. So, in the interim, basically all I did was, went ahead and did another energy sale. So, I'm not going to, sign any other decrees right now. I just did that so we can have a little bit more money next turn. So that we can do the, where is it? Where are you? There we are. The Monkey's Port and Naval Shipyard expansion. So I went ahead and sold a little energy. Hopefully that'll help us be able to still afford this at the end of the next churn. But I didn't even notice this before. But apparently after I made the energy sale, the continue button disappeared. And now we have this thing here for provincial tax subsidy. Which I have no idea where that came from. I didn't do anything about taxes or anything, so I'm very confused, but let's check it out. So, now that we've visited all of Rizia's provinces, we have the opportunity to grant a provincial tax subsidy to one or more of them. This will reduce our government income, but have a positive effect on our relationship with the province in question. Ah, okay, that makes sense. I didn't have to budget before. So now that I have to budget, I can grant a subsidy to somebody. Let's see. So Valenkiris would be boosting our relationship with House Taurus. The Azaros, or the Sazons, basically. But like I said, I want to hold on to that money because I want to try to build that the port expansion. I think that's going to come in handy, so I'm not going to grant any subsidies. Okay, and there we go. Now we can continue on to the next turn. Awesome. Ooh, it's not only the next turn, it's Chapter 2, Between Seas. Fantastic. Cool, and I got an achievement there for completing Chapter 1. Fantastic. See, we got 2 exclamation points, a handful of reports. It seems to be about it. Yeah, this right here is exactly why I didn't want to spend anything, because now we have extra stuff. Ooh, nice. And our energy went up from +2 to +4 per turn, so that is fantastic. That would be from the Ascarius gas field expansion. And this, I do believe, is... Ooh, nope, this is also this one up 1 as well. +1 per turn from intelligence services. Fantastic. Cool. Alright, well that's definitely going to come in handy. I'm guessing one of these reports is on the oil field expansion, but we will start out here at Port Trezon with the new hospital opens. Fantastic. The King Rose Taurus Hospital, funded and approved by the King through royal decree, has been officially opened in a grand ceremony earlier today. The medical facility not only offers healthcare to citizens, but also includes a large military wing and research labs. Prominent experts across the medical world have expressed their gratitude for the King for making this endeavor possible. Which is great, and that's going to add a bunch of extra manpower per churn too, which is cool. And then from Tope, Ascarius gas field expansion. With the completion of the final new onshore refining facility, the expansion of the Ascarius gas field is finished. The new offshore platform greatly increases the field's output, paving the way for Rizia to continue its relevance as a producer of natural gas. Alright, fantastic, and that might very well come in handy if we need to negotiate with Queen Beatrice later on. Fantastic. Okay, let's see. So we have 2 exclamation points. So we have the council meeting on the Palais gas dispute. Or react to protesters. This one's going to be much quicker, so let's just do that one to start off with here. Alright, a substantial crowd is amassed at the palace Taurus gates in Monkeys, vocalizing their concerns over the lack of access to higher quality education and healthcare services. Some voicing concerns with increasingly difficult living conditions. The Crown can choose to disperse them, allow their peaceful protests, or offer assurances to improve welfare spending across the nation. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and offer assurances, because I'd like to do that anyway as things go on. So, we're going to go ahead and do that. Wow, and somehow that added a whole bunch of new things to our policies. Country relationship updated, apparently, somehow. Okay. Relations are friendly. Diplomatic mission. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Coolio. Alright. Oh, yeah. Same thing there, the diplomatic mission. And we have another report in Monkeys. Protests at palace gates. Thousands of protesters gathered outside the Monkeys Palace, complaining about the state of our welfare system. Rousing speeches by local community leaders, after rousing speeches by local community leaders, the crowd slowly started to dissipate, with protests over by the early evening. Coolio. Alright, let's check out the overview updates here, and then we'll head back down to Palais. Let's see, so economy updates is the Ascaris gas field. Talking about the recent expansions, yeah. Extended its operational life, but also increased its output. Fantastic. Let's see, and then currently active situations. Scarce gas field, high extraction volume as a green thing. Fantastic. Welfare, we added the Romus Taurus Hospital, which is super cool. And modern medical equipment technology, state-of-the-art operating theaters, diagnostic imaging centers, laboratories. Bunch of specialized departments. Heck yeah. Alright, and then in our order situations, let's see here. Neutral Golconist community. Cool. That's good, because that was a red thing last turn. So it looks like it went up to neutral after we decided to go ahead and let the pilgrims in. Coolio. I like that. Alright, so let's head to Fort... I guess we're not heading to Palais, we're heading to, like, the border there, whatever. Alright, but anyway, it's Council meeting on the Palais gas disputes. I had called the Council meeting in Fort Olay to discuss the strategy in the Palais gas dispute. The city was named after its most famous build, a Volgish force that now served as a government headquarters for the Palais administrative district. Titus escorted me down the hallway to a nondescript conference room, where Lorenzo, Lucida, Elena, and Hugo were already waiting. My daughter had requested to stay home this time around, claiming she was feeling unwell. I took a seat across from Lucida. We made eye contact for a brief moment. She blushed. The other counselors didn't seem to notice. Good morning, Your Majesty. Should we fill you in on the situation so far? Yes, please. I'll take it from here. As you know, our joint team of researchers recently completed their assessment of the gas field between Palais and Rizia, tentatively nicknamed Aureus. The Rizian surveyors determined that the field lay in both Rizian and Palaisian territory. However, a few days after our team's return to port, we received the news that the Palaisians had made a different decision. And Duke Reinhardt is now under the impression that the entire gas field belongs to Palais. He has ordered that exploratory drilling begin immediately. Lucida had a worried look on her face. A Palaisian drill ship departed the port of Ramaz at 0800 this morning. It is expected to reach the field by this time tomorrow. Your Majesty, I have advocated for caution regarding Palais in the past, but this strikes me as highly concerning. I'm going to just go with this one. I still believe that caution is called for. I want to know all the details before we decide on our reaction. Hopefully that includes a phone call with Duke Reinhardt. Very wise for you, Your Majesty. We have a meeting set with Duke Reinhardt in 2 days. There we go. By which time the ship will have reached its destination. It is my hope that the Palaisians are still open to negotiating the field's ownership, and that this is just a tactic to give them an edge. You're getting ahead of yourself, Lorenzo. The king should be informed about this dispute
as informed about this dispute as possible before heading to Palais.
You're right as usual, Miss Werner. I want to know everything I can about the disputed field.
And then where should we start, Your Majesty?
Just go with that one. Well, why is this a dispute? I thought our maritime borders were clear.
They've been shifting for the past century. The late Empire of Valgos used to control the waters between Palais and Calacabes, but the area came into question when the island joined Rizia in 1855. Since then, both Rizia and Palais have variously claimed ownership of these waters and the resources therein. The borders that Rizia recognizes today are the ones defined by the 1942 AN Directive on Offshore Resources. According to those, the field should be split almost exactly evenly between our two nations, which is kind of what I was thinking.
Ah yes, Andor. A nation that has the sovereign right to any undersea gas oil wells located within 200 kilometers off its coast.
And in case of overlap, no one country may exploit those resources without the other's agreements.
Are both Palais and Rizia signatories of this directive?
Rizia has both signed and ratified Andor. Reinhardt's predecessor signed the directive, but the Duke is yet to ratify it. The Pelagians furthermore state that as a sparsely populated island, Calacabes should not have the same maritime radius as mainland Rizia.
But that's nonsense, right? It wouldn't hold up in an international court.
That's debatable, Your Majesty. With enough legal firepower and international support, Palais could have the case.
Do we know how much gas the field contains?
We still don't have the exact numbers, but the surveyors have confirmed that it's a lot. Quite possibly more than the current natural gas reserves of Rizia and Palais combined.
In other words, whichever country controls the Aureus field will become Recopa's next energy superpower. Alright, after that answer, this is a really dumb question, but does Rizia need the gas from the field?
We are not desperate for now. Our expansion of the Esquios field will increase gas production, though access to even half of Aureus would yield better results. President Evel Alfonso was pleased enough with our trade deal that he has hinted at offering us a stake in his own gas company, Gasom. But next year's Saurish elections may jeopardize that offer.
That sounds promising nonetheless. Follow up that lead if you can.
Yes, I'll keep you posted. Saurish or otherwise, we could really use the gas to bolster our overall energy reserves. We're running low as it is, and we don't know what the future might bring.
Alright, well, that's enough information, I guess. I'm ready to discuss our response.
Very well.
Lucina raised a hand.
Actually, I have some additional information that could influence our response.
By all means, Duchess Zorro, go on.
She took out a photograph that showed a number of men in business suits sporting a large vessel.
Our intelligence Palais managed to get a visual on the boat before it departed. This man here is a representative from Lespower, the Lesbian Energy Corporation.
Hugo stared at her coldly.
I was not informed that we had active intelligence operating in Palais.
His Majesty and I made the decision to establish it.
You were involved in this, Your Majesty. I thought the Vale investigation took full precedence.
I believed the same, but she convinced me that the Palais situation was worth keeping an eye on, and that turned out to be the case.
It did, Your Majesty. I would humbly ask my fellow councillors to focus on the content of these findings, not the methods used to obtain them.
I do find it worrying that Lesbia is so heavily involved in this expedition.
What this evidence proves is that it's not Palais alone asserting its claim to the field. Lesbia, and by extension the ATO, is after that gas and all the money and power that comes with it.
This photo sends a different message to me. Could it be possible that Lesbia pressured Palais into claiming the field and sending the ship? And if so, can we use that fact to drive a wedge between the two? Alternatively, we could find a compromise that involves all three of our countries.
But then what happens if Morella and their Voxlanian friends get involved? They won't be happy with an ATO member drilling so far south.
And that could lead to the kind of consequences I was warning about earlier, Majesty.
Lorenzo had a pained expression on his face.
I still don't think we should give up on the possibility of negotiation. You established a rapport with Duke Reinhardt prior to your coronation. Perhaps there's a way to build on that.
I have no idea whether his intentions were sincere. He might still harbor a grudge against Rizia.
The only way to find out is to talk to him. Shall we discuss our diplomatic options? Are you leaning towards any particular outcome?
Can't we just split the field 50-50 with Palais? That's what we have a legal claim to, isn't it?
Yes, that was the outcome I was hoping for before this incident.
As was I.
But it seems that without the aid of a third party, sharing the field will be more difficult than expected.
Do you mean asking the Alliance of Nations to arbitrate the dispute?
Correct, Your Majesty. An arbitration is a typical path in disputes like these.
Unfortunately, arbitration is an expensive time-consuming process, and there's no guarantee it would end in our favor.
With that said, it is definitely the safest way to avoid a diplomatic incident.
It does sound like the law is on our side. Maybe this is the easiest way forward.
On the other hand, if the AN does end up ruling against us, that would be definitive. We would be forced to completely give up our claim.
What if I were to let Palais keep its claim to the entire field?
Though we do not strictly need the gas from the field, we should not relinquish it without seriously considering the consequences.
Don't forget, Miss Vanna, what we would lose from ceding the field we might gain from a closer partnership with Palais and Lesbia. On the other hand, Miss Escabelle, it would make us look weak, and the foreign powers would jump on the opportunity like vultures.
My uncle's hand unconsciously formed a fist.
Think about how much territory we've relinquished already, how much wealth we've lost because of it. I am certain that if we give up this gas field, the Vezics would be even more emboldened to keep their grip on Zeal.
On the other hand, won't fighting for our rightful part of the field take up resources we should be using to get Zeal back?
You do have a point there, Your Majesty. We would have to allocate our funding very carefully.
Is there a way we can claim the entire field for Rizia?
Not without major diplomatic repercussions, I'm afraid.
No matter which maritime boundaries you look at, it's clear that half the field lies in Pelesian territory. The only way for Rizian oil and gas to access the entire field would be for us to purchase exploration rights from Palais.
Sounds costlier than I envisioned, but we would certainly reap the rewards. Why don't we pursue that option?
We could, but we have to remember that Lesbia is involved. We know for a fact that Lesbia has designs on the gas field. If we want the rights, we'll have to outbid them.
And before that, we'd have to convince Duke Reinhardt that Rizia is a trustworthy partner. Which might be possible. Reinhardt still seems to trust you more than your father, Your Majesty.
Well, I would welcome any other suggestions from my counselors. Hugo cleared his throat.
If I may, Your Majesty, we have still not decided what to do about the Pelesian drill ship.
We shouldn't immediately interpret the ship as a provocation. This could all be a misunderstanding.
Respectfully, Your Majesty, the Pelesians' intentions are crystal clear to me. Even if Duke Reinhardt is open to negotiations, he sent the ship to rattle us.
My suggestion is to rattle him right back.
She spoke slowly, as if thinking out loud.
With His Majesty's blessing, the Rizian Navy could surround the field, preventing the drill ship from reaching its destination.
Lorenzo looked up in outrage.
Are you in your right mind, young lady? The Navy would be escalating the situation.
I mean, it's not an outlandish suggestion. We've already established that Palais is violating international law.
We were on the verge of reconciling with Pelé after all these years. This would shatter our chances.
And the Duchess is not talking about sinking the drill ship, Mr. Escobar.
Lorenzo looked at her indignantly.
A blockade could keep the field clear until His Majesty has had a chance to speak with Duke Reinhardt. If we do end up in arbitration talks, Pelé having an established presence in the raised field would give them an unwarranted edge.
I'm hesitant to interfere. What if ATO retaliates?
There may be less power executives on board the ship, but it's flying the Pelesian flag. Neither Lesbian nor ATO would be allowed to get involved.
I too am wary of miring ourselves in another conflict. Yes, sending the Navy would help assert Rizia's sovereignty, but are we strong enough to defend ourselves should the Pelesians call our bluff?
That is a concern, Your Grace. We have a capable Navy, but we won't be able to outgun Pelé if it comes down to that. And this is not a decision to take lightly.
Let's see. I'm going to go with that one. It seems like the best option. I agree, and I think we should exercise caution. I'll meet with Duke Reinhardt before deciding our next steps. Lorenzo nodded, relieved.
Very good, Your Majesty. I'll get everything in order for your meeting.
Our naval forces will be on standby in case you change your mind.
I pray to Saint Ruick that they will not be needed.
There's a moment's silence.
I'll adjourn the meeting so Mr. Escobar can begin his preparations. We'll keep you abreast of any changes prior to departure for Pelé.
I fully expect a peaceful resolution.
Good luck, Your Majesty. I mean that sincerely.
The meeting drew to a close. I spent a sleepless night in Fort LA, wondering what would happen when the ship from Pelé got to its destination. Interesting, okay. Still not sure what this event thing is. Open event information. Okay. I guess it just means there's a new location on the map? I'm not sure. Interesting. Alright, well, let's check out these reports here first. So, from Zeal. Valen restricts access to Zeal region. Valen has reduced travel access to the disputed Zeal region, making it particularly hard for non-Vesic citizens to visit the region. Local officials have cited security and risk of further terror attacks as reasons for this temporary measure. Not a fan of that, but I guess I can see why they did it. Alright, and from Port Drazan, Dirty and Golk and his community sheltering BFF. Internal security forces have informed us that the Rizia's Dirty and communities may be harboring fugitives from the Blunish Freedom Front in Valen. As Viktor Smolek's government cracks down on the separatist movement, an increasing number of Blues are fleeing to Dirtia and from there to Rizia via the Salabe Harbor. Our security forces will monitor the situation closely as it develops. Interesting, okay. Let's see what's going on in the overview here. Welfare situation. Ooh, good living standards. Nice, cool. I like that. We have a news article here from Geopolitico. Arcasia secures Pyrrhic victory in South Sheena conflict. Arcasia emerges from the South Sheena conflict bearing the hallmarks of a Pyrrhic victory, with the toll of war casting long shadows over its future endeavors. The sustained campaign, though successful in reaffirming Arcasia's superpower status, has left a trail of devastation and a populace weary of conflict. The implications of this prolonged military engagement extend beyond the immediate theater of war, potentially influencing Arcasia's strategic decisions in regions such as Central Line and Rica, and its position within the broader Mercopan geopolitical chessboard. Interesting, okay. Let's see, so we have two things here, so let's see what we got here. Confederacy of Vendonassam requests support in uprising. Okay. Let's check this out here. With instability in key states of the Confederacy, such as the Sultanate of Rankara, Holy Isles of Penguvi, and the Duchy of Tomarin, the situation is rapidly deteriorating. Prince Consort Kabawan Sangtam leads effort to maintain monarchic control and suppress the uprising, but their resources are stretched thin. In a request for great solidarity, Vendonasam turns to the guild for assistance. I'm going to go ahead and offer financial aid. I think that's going to be the best way to go. You have a little bit of extra money and not so much extra energy at the moment. And I can always sell off that extra energy for the money later on. Alright, so let's do that. Then I guess we get another report here. From Monkeys, King promises financial support to Vendonasam. At a private event in Monkeys with representatives of Prince Consort Cabal and Sangtam's Confederacy, King Romus has promised that Rizia will provide financial aid to the country, sealing the commitment of our kingdom to international solidarity in the face of great challenges against established fellow monarchies. Cool, I guess. I don't know. Seemed like the right thing to do. Alright, and apparently opens up some new royal decrees, so let's see what we got. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we can expand Fort Alais Naval Base, expand Territorial Air Force Base, strengthen Palais border fortifications. Interesting. Is this also down south? I'm not sure. I don't know. All of this seems like it's just going to be, I mean, it's obviously force projection, but it might provoke Palais. Obviously, all this is down at the Palais border, I think. I mean, the naval base and the border fortifications, obviously. I'm not sure where Territorial Air Force Base is, but that seems like unnecessarily poking the bear. So, I'm not going to worry about that. Instead, we're just going to head down to the Grand Duchy of Palais to meet with Duke Reinhardt. It was my first visit to Palais since becoming King of Rizia. Titus and I stood side by side, peering out the window of Castle Reinhardt. The Grand Duchy's royal residence is built on the foundations of an ancient Palaeaco, maybe? I don't know. One of the stone fortifications that gave Palais its name. After his coronation, Duke Axel Reinhardt had hired an up-and-coming local architect to expand the old building into a swooping, bulging wood and glass structure that seemed almost alive. The reception room had been moved up to the top floor and boasted enormous curved windows with a view of the Palais skyline. Its soaring, angular skyscrapers were unlike anything built in Rizia.
So, this is the Pearl of the Antician.
Hard to believe all this sprung up in the last few decades alone.
Truly a feat, sir.
Just gonna go with that one. I do hope our two countries can resolve our historical rivalries. A harmonious partnership could bring significant benefits.
Sure, though I must admit, I do hope one day to see the Rizian flag flying over Palais once more.
A panel in the wall slid open, and a secretary clad in a pastel mini dress emerged. She motioned for me to enter. Make yourself comfortable. This might be a while.
Will do, sir.
The secretary announced my entrance. I stepped into the room and was greeted by Duke Reinhardt. The Plesian ruler hadn't aged a day since we last met. He was tall, square-jawed, with the looks of an adventure serial, with looks out of an adventure serial. I recalled that the tabloids had nicknamed him Duke Dashing. He maintained eye contact as he bowed to me.
Your Majesty, we meet again.
It's always a pleasure to visit this beautiful castle.
Really, you think it's beautiful?
It's very modern. The corner of his mouth turned up.
I wasn't sure about it myself, but when you're the leader of such an advanced economy, there's always pressure to keep up with the times. You know how it is.
The secretary left, closing the door behind her. The Duke and I took seats on opposite sides of a wooden conference table. His posture was casual, even as he regarded me with intensity.
I'll be honest with you, Your Majesty, I never expected my brother to abdicate. I was perfectly happy living a life of leisure, coasting off the family fortune, enjoying the odd celebrity rendezvous. I mean, you didn't have to take his place. And who would have stepped up in my stead? Who is left to protect Palais? He looked me in the eye. I know that our expedition may have seemed like an act of aggression, but all we are doing is claiming what is rightfully ours. I recognize your claim on the field, but you must recognize Rizia's right to it as well. You can't truly think that the field's proximity to Calica Bees gives you a right to it. I don't make the rules. Our claim is clearly valid according to the Alliance of Nations Directive on Offshore Resources. You're ignoring Andor's nuances. It leaves much more room for ambiguity than other laws of its kind. His expression turned more serious. Your Majesty, I urge you to let this go. There are more powerful interests at play than either of us. That's precisely why I will not let this go. Western superpowers have no place meddling in South Marcopan affairs. I wouldn't call it meddling exactly, he sighed. Yes, Palais was part of the Vargas Empire, but we developed our own laws and customs, even our own language. When the Empire fell apart, what were we supposed to do? Simply give up everything we had built?
Palais could have kept its cultural identity intact if it had rejoined Rizia.
Your father would never have accepted that. Even if he had, my family never would have agreed. They had too much pride. So they accepted help from Lesbia, the only country willing to support our independence.
Let's try to be diplomatic here. You should never have been put in that position, Your Grace. My predecessor's aggression was out of line.
Thank you for acknowledging that, but it doesn't change anything.
Now that Lesbia is an ATO member, they won't want to be connected to monarchy for long. They'll have you overthrown the first chance they get. He leaned forward and lowered his voice.
I know that. I'm not a fool. But in the meantime, Lesbia needs our gas, and they are promising us a sum that we can hardly refuse. Unless...
I'm listening. He spoke his next words very deliberately.
I could envision a future where Palais severs its ties with Lesbia in favor of a partnership with Rizia. But as my late cousin Ivar learned the hard way on holiday in the Montez Isles, one doesn't jump out of a plane without a parachute.
What an idiot.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Your Majesty?
I do. How big of a parachute are we talking about? He blinked in surprise.
I didn't think you'd come to the table so quickly, but great. It was always my family's policy not to discuss money out loud, so...
Duke Reinhardt grabbed the nearest piece of paper and scribbled a number on it.
This would buy you the full exploration rights to the Aureus field, as we are preparing to grant Lesbia. Cede the field to us and pay what we're asking, and Rizia will have all the energy you could ever ask for.
It took a look at the numbers he'd written down. An upfront fee, an annual extraction rights payment, and in exchange, a stable annual energy supply from the gas field. This is a large sum, but our treasury could afford it. Oof, that is expensive. That's far too much. Can't you go any lower? He rubbed his chin.
I approached you because I believed Rizia was flourishing economically. Was I wrong?
Our sources have shrunk in the past years. That's why we need that gas field.
However badly you need it, we need it more. Unfortunately, if you can't purchase the rights to the entire field for the price I'm asking, we'll be forced to honor our original deal with Lesbia.
Yeesh, okay. Jeez, this is a tough one here, really. And -3 budget per churn is a lot. On the other hand, it also gives us a whole bunch of extra energy per churn. which we can easily sell to offset that loss. So, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Very well, Your Grace. You have a deal.
Really?
A boyish smile spread across his face.
Perfect, Your Majesty. Now, if only finding a wife was this easy.
I look forward to a fruitful energy partnership.
As do I.
The Duke reached beneath the table and pressed an intercom button.
Hilda, Beard's Alden help show His Majesty the way out of the building. Wouldn't want him getting lost.
Sat back in his chair and scrutinized me closely.
My brother always told me to never reason with a Rizian. But what can I say? I'm an optimist.
You're not your brother, and I'm not my father. We can break this cycle. Duke Reinhardt's secretary opened the door. He stood up and gestured for me to do the same.
Until next time, King Romus.
I rejoined Titus in the reception room. We followed Hilda through winding corridors to the front door. We stepped outside into the waning sunlight. He waited until we were out of the building's shadow to speak.
How did it go, Your Majesty?
One step closer to Pelesian Rizian reunification, Titus. Titus nodded wordlessly. We got into the car and began the long trip back to Port Jazon. Alright, that was ridiculously expensive, and that kind of kills my hope for building that port expansion right now, but that's okay. I definitely feel like that was probably worth it. So yeah, we're getting so much more extra energy per churn now, or we will be next turn, I guess. We can easily sell off so much of that to, try to counteract that budget loss. All right, let's see here. So we have a diplomacy update, trade deal with Palais, fantastic. One newspaper article from Geopolitico. CSP deploys medium-range missiles in Sonsamia base. The strategic calculus of East Rica is undergoing significant transformation as the CSP installs medium-range missiles at its Sonsamia base, amid whispers of potential nuclear capabilities. In a high-stakes exchange, Sonsamia has sanctioned the establishment of this military stronghold in exchange for a lucrative financial aid package denominated in billions of its national currency. This assertive move by the CSP has stirred the pot of regional geopolitics, inciting concerns among neighboring nations and international observers about the burgeoning arms race and its implications for the delicate peace in the region. Cool. Alright. Let's see here. So, we have 2 exclamation points here, but that feels like as good of a place as any to call for today. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see y'all next time.